Hey there. So we're heading into tax season, and some of you, like probably me, have challenges with getting things done timely. Work is busy, especially the end of the year. And so I don't always have all my stuff in order, which is probably a bad thing. And don't shake your head at me, Bill. I see what you're doing.
Think it's till October you get together, right?
Shush. Because that's usually, so I mean, I had to have a nice conversation with my CPA because he's trying to motivate me to get it done before February. Look what's happening. And I'm all like, all right, what do you give me if I do it? Because I'm all looking for rewards. He's like, "Your money?" I'm like, "Not good enough. Give me something else. Go." But anyway, so part of the I was having a conversation with our friend today, Marshall Eastin. Welcome, Marshall.
Hey, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Well, thank you for being here because Marshall's like the first step in what you do to keep yourself on track. He's a bookkeeper, and I don't know about you, and I am not the best. Thank goodness for my husband. I'm not the best at like keeping things in. I'm always like, oh, I'll remember to put that in later. And I get tangential and I forget. I think it's like personality, not every personality is that bookkeeper style. So we need people like Marshall in my life. And it was funny. This is kind of weird, but my husband, he tries to get me to pay attention to stuff sometimes. And then he says things like, well, what happens if I died? What would you do? Like hire Marshall. You know, he's like, well, you can't put
But
that
quick.
response quick. I'm like, well, that's good. You know, so I'm like, hey, I'm not worried or anything, but before you get to the point, you probably should just hire Marshall no matter what, because maybe it'll help your marriage. I think it would help ours at this point. So, like Marshall, you're like a marriage saver now too. I think that's really great.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, the last thing that your spouse wants you to do when you get home is to do more work on your books after you've been working all day on
Oh
your
my
business.
gosh. It's so true. We have like this cutoff when like after 8 o'clock, don't even talk to me about numbers. And then don't text me like, what is this? Why do you have this? What was this charge? Like, stop, stop. But I think that's probably a lot of business owners who are really good at what they do, sometimes aren't great at what their books. And I know, especially for me, it's I'm not super excited about it. So I'm not super excited about something. I don't want to really do it so much. But when
Well,
you know you can hand this off and have someone like you hired and do it for them, I think that's a huge benefit. Now, how it benefits Bill is because then Bill gets to do loans on real data, and it makes it simple for him versus getting 47 receipts in a box that's saying, "This is my P&L." You're
yeah,
like,
please
"Wait,
don't do
what?"
that to me. It's easier to just go to the bookkeeper and be like, hey, here's my P&L. Have a good day.
Exactly. And I get it. Entrepreneurs also want to look like they don't make a lot of money because they don't want to pay taxes. But then when you come to wanting to buy a house, that's a problem. Because Bill, you don't like that.
Well, I mean, honestly, how it works when it comes to there's income you make and there's qualifying income, right? And those are two very different things, especially in the world of self-employed. And with the IRS is going to get their money back somehow, right? You get paid taxes somehow. So when they did it, when they redid all the mortgage guidelines, they're like, okay, for self-employed, you qualify based on what you tell the IRS you make. It's after write-off. So on schedule C, what is it, line 31 and K1 income, right? But that's the number I start at. And there's a couple write-offs, depreciation, miles that I can add back into it. But when you're starting off at a zero or a low number, it's really
Yeah.
hard to get up to where you want to be, right? And I always tell clients, let's strategically find. Maybe, some business owners, if they've been in business for less than 5 years, we have to have 2 years tax returns. So maybe we got to put on the 1.5 year plan, right? And strategically file the taxes. Yes, you're going to pay some taxes, but then you're going to be able to qualify it. And then there's out of the box ideas that doesn't work too, right? But those out of the box ideas like the bank statement loans and DSCRs or even some stated income loans that are out there, but they require help from a bookkeeper like Marshall to get P&Ls, right? To match the bank statements, to
Mhm.
have them make sense, right? You got to make the investor feel good about the file. And so that's kind of where it comes full circle.
And that's why I wanted to have Marshall here is because I think a lot of people don't understand the benefits or the role of a bookkeeper. So Marshall, can you share a little bit about like what you do and maybe some common things people don't really realize or maybe some myths that or preconceived notions that people may have about what it's like to have a bookkeeper and why it makes the most sense both financially and for your marriage to do that.
Well, so I would say one of the myths is that you don't need a bookkeeper. And you can just hand all of your documents over to your CPA. They'll do your taxes for you, and everything's going to be hunky dory. you can do that, but it's not the best way to manage your business's financials or to even manage your taxes. Let's say, for example, in this last year, you ended up making $80,000 more in profit than the previous year, and instead of knowing that you made that much more, exactly, and then talking to your CPA about tax strategies, you went and had some fun vacations. Now it's time to pay taxes. You didn't save any of that money, and you owe more this year than last year. Maybe your CPA can come up with some fun deductions that they can do to bring that tax liability down. But having a bookkeeper that is every single month providing you with your profit and loss, what that month was, what your year to date is, gives you the opportunity to actually have strategic tax planning throughout the year with your CPA to make sure you are paying in the correct amount. So that way you don't owe more on April 15th, and you might even get a refund depending on what magic your CPA can work out for you.
Yeah, we had, and especially in really good real estate years where, I think a lot of agents, especially when you're in an industry where you just get a gross check, right? You just basically take home and it's your responsibility to allocate to taxes, savings, bills, all that stuff. That can be harder for some people to manage. So I think people have to be realistic and not ashamed or anything. Cause I think if you're not great with money, you really, really, really need to find someone who can be great with money for you. And if you are great with money, that's fantastic. But why not delegate that? Like, why hold that on your plate when you can hand it off to someone who can just keep you informed? So I love this conversation because there, I think money stresses a lot of people out and you love it. So why
Yeah.
not give it to someone who really enjoys doing it and keeping your P&L? And when you do get that tax bill for, that $80,000 you weren't expecting because you had that really good year and you did go on the vacation and you didn't take that money and put it aside, that could be kind of scary because the IRS,
Mhm.
like you said, will eventually come back to you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And having that CPA is really good to have, but your CPA can only do so much. And the bookkeeper is what gives your CPA the information they need to steer you in the right direction. Now you could be your own bookkeeper, and so a lot of people are. Some people are pretty good at it. Some people are not. They're just doing as best they can. I will say that there are very few times where I will come across a DIYer's books and find it to be even remotely accurate. The balance sheet will show like a negative $100,000 in their bank account, and their liabilities are all negative. It's like, well, how did this happen? The credit card company doesn't owe you money. I can tell you that. Um, so having somebody who's trained and specialized does a lot of things for you. It takes a lot of work off your plate. For someone like me, where it's my job, it's what I do all the time, I'm a lot more efficient. I'm faster at it. I'm a lot more accurate. So it doesn't take me even half the time that it'll take you to do it. So it'll save you a bunch of time, but the benefits of having those accurate books every single month, like I said, helps you with being able to plan for taxes and just helps you be able to plan for your business as well. Whether you want to expand, if you're trying to sell your business, I get several clients of mine that haven't done any of their books. They decide they want to sell their business, and now they're asking me to get 3 years of bookkeeping done in 4 weeks, and that's expensive. I'm going to tell you right now. It's a lot cheaper to make sure that you're getting it done throughout the year. But when it comes to buying a house, like Bill was saying, that P&L, he might be able to add some stuff back in, but you really should be trying to make your business look like it's not making money. That's my opinion. Your CPA is going to tell you different because he wants to give you that refund, and that's how he shows you his value. My belief is that you should be trying to make your business as profitable as possible. And you can't do that if you don't know your numbers. When you make that profit, you use a CPA to make sure you're planning for your taxes. But I'm not a big fan of watching a business go into the red just to save on taxes, because you spend the money, whether you're spending it on some asset that your CPA suggested that maybe you don't need for your business, or you're paying interest on a loan. You're spending the money, and I don't know. Me, I'd rather see a higher profit margin than than what your CPA might recommend. But that's just me.
Do you think a lot of people miss, especially the DIYers, miss opportunities because they don't realize that's something that they should put in their P&L, that they should be sharing with you? So how, like, is it best just to give you all the information and then you figure out what works and what doesn't?
Yeah. So basically, as a bookkeeper, what I'll do is I'll get in connection with either your QuickBooks, or I'll create one for you, and your bank account. And I'll go through and categorize everything that's happening. And then anytime there's something that goes through the bank, whether it's a purchase or anything like that, I can help make sure that it's being allocated correctly. You're getting the depreciation marked correctly. It's just making sure you're not missing any deductions. And then sometimes I'll see some activity that's like, that doesn't make sense. Did this come from another account? And then find out that you've been doing expenses on your personal account. And if you're not capturing that, then you're missing out on all the deductions.
Right.
And so that brings me to a quick point is you should 100% divorce your business and your personal accounts. They should not be
That
doing
100% seems
business on
really
personal
hard.
and personal on business.
I do it so hard because sometimes that one credit card's already preloaded into your Google Pay or your Apple.
Oh.
You go, I'll just
Uh-huh.
take that one off. Again.
But and so you get your ADHD shiny, ooh, look, there's a squirrel. And then you forget to mark down that you had that business expense on your personal card and you're missing out.
Yeah.
And if you do that a lot, that adds up.
You're so
Then
correct.
you're paying more in taxes.
Just put all your cards in your Google Pay, your Apple Pay. You can make sure you do them correctly when you're hitting the button. Now, Bill, this is all good for you, right? Like this makes your life simpler when someone's looking to come and buy a house, because I know it makes my life simpler when you have all the data and you can quite simply qualify someone for their best possible loan rate, all that stuff.
Well, honestly, all the clients that I've worked with, the Marshalls worked with, I mean, they come organized. They know what they make. They know what they W-2 themselves. They have all the answers. That makes my life a lot easier. When I'm going through questions, I try to hit all the questions, but sometimes we're not told the full story until I actually see it. But when the client comes and has a bookkeeper already, like Marshall, they know, right? It's already lined up, and it makes our life a lot easier. I mean, with underwriting, less is more
That's true.
sometimes. And an organized borrower is gonna get through underwriting, get their processing a lot smoother than one that will pulling back those layers of onions, right? And you got a couple more every time you pull back a layer. Whereas someone that's organized as the bookkeeper and a solid financial team, bookkeeper, CPA, that's so much more organized. And half the time I'm like, hey, can you just introduce me to your bookkeeper or your CPA? And give me authorization to just have a direct conversation. And 9 times out of 10, I'm like, absolutely do it. I don't want to be in the middle of it. Because they don't.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it makes life so much easier.
Well, we're heading in, like our busy season has already started, right? In Arizona, like the market's getting busier. I just listed a house on Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning. I've already had 8 showings and we've already got multiple offers. So you can't tell me that, the market is soft in a lot of situations, right? Granted, there are some areas, it's very, very very local markets specific, but certain areas are popping. And if you're not prepared with having your books already, getting that pre-qualification form, and you're delaying, you may miss chances. So it's best if you have everything in order ahead of time. Talk to your CPA, talk to your bookkeeper. If you don't have a bookkeeper and you had a great year last year and your stuff is like still in a box somewhere and you're trying to figure stuff out, or, your virtual boxes where I 2006 receipt, 2005 receipt. Did I just keep putting things in folders on my emails, but it's smart to have that already done ahead of time because we're getting busier. It's not to say that people still are asking for concessions, so that's the thing right now, but I'm hoping to bring that cycle very soon. But when we have everything in order, it makes our lives easier, especially when the property is hot. If it's, people wait for that one to hit the market, which cracks me up because it hits the market and then they're not prepared to make the offer on it. And that devastates people when they're buying, because that was the one house they had to have. So be prepared. Work with your CPA, work with a bookkeeper, work with your lender, be ready to make the offer so you can jump quickly. Because not every agent on the listing side is going to call your agent to tell them there's an offer in, to say that there's something that they're good. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes it's the path of least resistance. And if it's a decent offer that showed up and the sellers are willing to take it, they may or may not shop around. It just depends. You can't rely on that. So I say be prepared.
Yep,
You guys say
100%.
Marshall's probably the most prepared person. He's got the numbers ready.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got all my numbers ready and just gotta get it all entered in. Just waiting on some tax documents for my wife before I do my wife's tax, do our taxes together. But
That's nice that you're all getting
yeah,
them done so soon. I've got to work on that.
yeah.
I
And
know.
you know, that's one of the main reasons why a lot of business owners have to go on extension is because they haven't had their books done. And so it just kind of pushes it down. It makes you stressed out, makes your CPA stressed out. Just having it done has just made life so much easier for my clients. Just knowing that January, right around the halfway point of January, that 2025 was done and ready to go.
So with saying that, is it too late for someone to come to you for 2025 if they're like, you know what, this was part of my thing. This is my sign. If this was your sign to get a bookkeeper, here it is. Call Marshall. So is it too late for them to talk to you now?
No, it is not too late. You can go ahead, give me a call, send me an email. I'll be happy to take a look at your situation and see how much work needs to be done and give you a timeline on when it be completed. I do have a couple of people right now that I am doing prior year work for. So you may still need to file an extension depending on if you're an S Corp for your business, because I probably might not be able to make a March 15th deadline
Mhm.
if we're doing the entire year. But it's never too late to hire a bookkeeper. I've done bookkeeping work for people who haven't done their books for 3 years. And I've gone in and cleaned it up and got them on the path forward to be able to run their business effectively by having the knowledge of their numbers. I know this isn't necessarily specifically related to buying a house or doing taxes, but I have a client that I started doing his books for, and I've been able to help him through just by virtue of doing the bookkeeping, let him know which of his services are not profitable.
Oh,
He had some maintenance services and install services, and his install services, he was not making hardly any money. He thought he was because that when he writes out the invoice, that's like a $10,000 invoice, but he only gets to keep 2,000 of it before he spends it all on materials and labor. That's a pretty low profit margin. So being able to have that conversation with them to let them know, hey, you know, if you feel like you're spinning your wheels, this might be why you either need to raise your prices or figure out a way to cut costs on this service. And
oh, sweet.
that's one of the other benefits of having your books done is you can make those money moves and those business decisions that you couldn't have made before because you just didn't know. You didn't
Oh,
have
I
the
love
data.
that. You just have that data. That's true. Well, Paul, I'm so grateful you were here today, and I'm appreciative of you being back again, Bill. And we're getting ready to buy houses. A lot of houses this year. A lot of people they're jumping in and they're excited. So we appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, I'm going to put Marshall's contact information in. Reach out to him. Bill and myself are always available as well, so our contact information will be in there. And we hope you have an amazing week. Talk to you soon.